Tokenize, the YouTube channel that shows you the faces of blockchain-based real economy. Subscribe and find out how you can be a part of it.
So I'm Dan Doney, the CEO of Securrancy, and we do blockchain-based financial services infrastructure for banks and investment banks. And our focus is in making the entire process of issuing, trading, transferring, and maintaining securities completely convenient and transparent, both on the investor side, participation, as well as on the issuer side. Yes, so I am a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy in 1992, and then went on to MIT, did a little work there. Worked the bulk of my career, some time in the Navy, actually on submarines, and then went to work at NSA for the bulk of my career in artificial intelligence. Went on to become the first Chief Innovation Officer in the intelligence community at the Defense Intelligence Agency. I've been at the forefront of innovation throughout my career, really driving game-changing technologies in the space. I fell in love with blockchain when I saw it, and we see this as transforming most of the way that finance is done globally. So loving and always being attracted to complex and challenging problems, I dove right in. I'm not sure about the order. I've been a coder since age 10, started developing auction programs. I grew up on a farm as a teenager for cattle trade. And so started my AI work in undergrad. I've always been on the tech side, an algorithm developer most of my career. So I'm not sure about the difference in focus. Now, of course, as with any government activity, folks are interested in recruiting the top talent to work on problems. Not always bringing them into government settings, so certainly the role of the activities that I've been involved with for the U.S. intelligence community was funding research at amongst universities and leading corporate entities, and really shaping the future of the growth of technology. We've been, for example, working on projects in quantum computing since way back in the early 2000s, well beyond, and helping drive the next generation of technologies for the betterment of society. And this is the piece that the movies often miss on this, is people are very passionate about that aspect of this role. People take it very personally and passionately, that they're looking to make the world a better place, a safer place for everyone. Yeah, I think it's well. Let me break that up into two pieces. First, there is no affiliation between my company and the U.S. intelligence community. So yeah, so we're not directly working for or in any way affiliated with the U.S. government. Some of the early opportunity that I saw in this space was based on the U.S. intelligence community mission, as in 2012, Bitcoin was almost exclusively used for illicit activity. And Silk Road is a great example of this, or a terrible example of this, as these technologies are being used for human trafficking, weapons trafficking, drug trafficking, hits, etc. So all kinds of illicit activity. And it's very important to be able to understand ransomware, understand and root out the bad actors who are in the space. But what you see is actually a transparent, immutable record of transactions, which actually makes it possible, if you add identity into the mix, to have a better financial services infrastructure that's much more inclusive and can allow the world's unbanked to actually participate in advanced technology capabilities and more importantly, advanced financial services. So in certain parts of the world, obtaining even a $500 loan there's simply no mechanism by which you do this. And the world is quite exploitative to those folks who require capital and can't get it. And so what you see is awful things happening in human trafficking in places where people don't have access to sophisticated financial services. Blockchain, done right, solves that problem. So we're particularly excited. I'm personally excited about the social impact that these technologies can have on the world's exploited and underprivileged and unbanked. Yeah, spectacular question, Anton. And let me address this with a real world example. Our first project actually in the space had to do with, and this is still very near and dear and important to us, developing world smallholding farm finance. So here's the reality in many places around the world. We started our work in Pakistan and Thailand through a partner that I met through MIT connections who were looking to do credit models for smallholding farmers. So the reality for a smallholding farmer in, say, Pakistan, when you need money to purchase the seeds and fertilizer for the coming growing season. The cost for a typical smallholding farmer, somewhere around $500, sometimes even smaller than that, for that money that you need. You have no access to banks as a practical matter. You're in a rural setting. It's too hard for the banks who are interested mostly in the urban settings to come on, find out who you are, allow you to participate in their systems. The cost is so small. You obviously don't have access to credit cards, no simple credits for you to be able to make that purchase. The way this is done is through informal lenders, effectively payday lenders, who will assist you in those regions. These folks are called the RT. The RT are the informal lenders. Now they charge interest. Now in some settings you're not allowed to charge interest, but they charge the equivalent of interest, somewhere between 80 to, in some cases, as much as 200% interest for the farmers. They hold all the cards. The farmer has to have these things in order to be able to feed their family in the setting. They have no choice but take these horrific terms. The result of this is generational debt. So it's you'll end up owing year over year for the previous year. You end up owing your father's debt and your grandfather's debt. And the result that follows is indentured servitude. And in fact, in some egregious cases, human trafficking. The only choice that you have to feed your 5 children is to sell one of them off in order to be able to, when the RT comes and says, you owe me your father, your grandfather, these are awful conditions that exist on the ground. So what can blockchain do about something like this? So we were able to put together a blockchain-based securitized lending pool where these individual small loans were actually financed directly from that lending pool. So there's an example, Kiva. Kiva allows you to finance loans to folks in the developing world. This is a securitized version of that. So those loans under Kiva are illiquid and their chances of getting your money back are small. In this case, it's running through a very efficient financing model. Our partner on the ground was actually the originator. So our partner had agriculture services, very clever in terms of the way they deliver. The name of the company was Recult, the middle letters of agriculture, with very scalable models to reach these farmers. The farmers actually received their loans, in this case, as goods, not as cash, directly from the lending pool delivered by our partners to the farmers, where they would then pick up the goods produced by the farmers at the end of the season, take them and sell them at better market price, repay the lending pool, and you repeat it over and over again. In this model, we were able to produce great revenue from a blockchain-based framework that reached all the way out to the financial edge for inclusion. The impact on lives is stunning. The ability to put our finger on and eliminate the kinds of human trafficking that are just a human tragedy globally, we believe that these kinds of systems can actually fix the problem. We're able to reach where banks can't, thanks to the power of blockchain, and delivering securitized pools of tradable, basically exchange-traded funds. This is the kind of thing that you can't do in even the world's financial centers. Yeah, so the exciting thing, and blockchain is the first time where you've seen an intersection of, the first time certainly probably since the Medici advances in the Middle Ages, where there was an intersection of technology and finance so directly. The internet revolution, the internet made it possible to later do finance, riding over those same rails. Blockchain is, at its core, finance. So it's the first time you've had a nexus of technology and finance together, such that the technology development and advancement is actually linked. So it's a self-financing technology, and that's exciting, and the advances are occurring at breakneck speed. Here's what the industry is maturing, is the original thinking in the blockchain space is the rules associated with finance are wrong. We need a completely decentralized and trustless world. There's a maturity that's happening very quickly in the community, that recognizing that the rules are there for a reason. There's important reasons why the ICO world failed when they abandoned rules. You'd see theft, bad offerings, exploitation of uninformed investors, etc. There's now an understanding that you actually need to protect folks, that many of the rules that were there are there for a reason. That we need a trustable space. The community is finally bringing together these concepts in a way that we will see breathtaking advances. You're seeing the beginning of it in these kinds of conferences. The conference here today, as we go through consensus this week, that this is moving along much faster than the early skeptics imagined. So the Gartner cycle, where you have hype and then a trough of disillusionment and then gradual growth with the internet, as we went through this, and Amazon started right at the trough of disillusionment and has led to a game-changing, world-changing technology. We think that the cycle is actually accelerated in this case because it's tied to finance. And we're at the trough of disillusionment, but you're seeing real solutions like ours emerging from this space that are capable of transforming lives anywhere in the world.
Tokenize, the language of the new blockchain-based financial markets. Can you speak it? Subscribe to Tokenize and let's find out together.